So, ladies and gentlemen, Nathan's about to come on and just blow your mind. This guy has accomplished so much in the world of e-commerce, in the world of team building, hiring, outsourcing, epic stuff. If you are out about making an impact, growing as an entrepreneur, growing your business, definitely freaking stay tuned, okay? It's going to be awesome. And scaling. If you want to scale, you want to make a bigger impact, let's go, okay? I'm talking to you first because you're becoming your greatest possible self. However I can support you with that, let's figure it out, okay? If you have different ideas for the show to keep it growing, let's discuss that. If you think you'd be a great guest, would love to meet you, get connected with you. If you want to launch your own podcast, I love helping our clients do that. Whatever it is, let's explore, let's play, let's have fun, and make a big impact, serving people, making lots of money in the process. That's what I'm all about. Let's be our greatest possible self. Cool? Cool. Next up is the iTunes review of the week. This week, it's by Stephanie Zito. Stephanie says, inspiring podcast. I love Chris's mission and attitude towards life. I gain a lot of great tips for self-development and running my business through this content. Thanks so much, Stephanie. I appreciate you. If you want to give us a review on the podcast, go to beyourgps.com/iTunes or search Greatest Possible Self on the podcast store, Apple Podcast Store, and any other platform that you listen to your podcasts on. Definitely subscribe so you can get all the latest episodes. We got new stuff coming out all the time. We also got our Bali Flow and Fire retreat coming up here in November, specifically for people who are like working their butts off and you need some time to recharge, reconnect, and rejuvenate to step into your greatest possible self. Your best year ever for 2020. And there's a lot more. Can tell you a little bit more about that. But let's talk. Let's have a conversation. And thank you so much for staying tuned. I'm going to introduce Nathan in just a sec here. Grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, be ready to take notes. There's going to be some great scaling strategies and powerful wisdom I'm sure Nathan has accumulated over his years of being just this amazing leader. So stay tuned all the way through till the end because one idea, one of these things has the power to change your life forever. Okay, so stay tuned. Let's introduce Nathan. Nathan Hirsch is a 30-year-old, 10-year entrepreneur and expert in remote hiring and e-commerce. He started his first e-commerce business out of his college dorm room and has sold over $30 million online. He is now the co-founder and CEO of freeup.com, a marketplace that connects businesses with pre-vetted virtual assistants, freelancers, and agencies in e-commerce, digital marketing, and much more. He regularly appears on leading podcasts such as Entrepreneur on Fire and speaks at live events and online hiring tactics. And we're blessed to have his wisdom here with us today to help us level up as entrepreneurs. And Nathan, are you ready to rock the house, my man?
I am ready and I am pumped to be here.
I love it. I love it, man. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, bro. And let's dive right into the theme of today, which is a life of greatness, man. What does that mean to you? What does a life of greatness mean to you, Nathan?
It's funny because I grew up when I was younger and I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I felt like it was all about money, and I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs they kind of go through that. I mean, my parents growing up were teachers. We weren't poor, we weren't rich. I went to town with all these people that had parents that were doctors, lawyers, dentists. So you always kind of want what you don't have a little bit, and then you kind of get it. You go through this little honeymoon period, and then you realize that being at the top by yourself is really not that much fun. It's not that much rewarding. You don't sleep that well at night. And that's kind of why I got out of the pushing products game. And to me, it's all about growing at the top. If I get to the top, I want my business partner to be there. I want my team to be there. I want my partners. I want my clients. I want everyone to grow with you. And I think those are the kind of things that people respect when they're working with other entrepreneurs. And it's one of those things that as you get older, you kind of realize that all the people around you are way more important than how much money is in your bank account.
Wow, dude, that's so powerful. And I love what you said that a lot of entrepreneurs go through that phase. They go through that phase of thinking money is the ultimate goal. That's what I get to be focusing on. I got to, heal my money stories and journey and stuff like that, like all this inner work, which I think there's the truth to that. And it's like, what are we focusing on? If we're focusing on serving people, loving the people around us, making sure that they're winning, like being a great leader, I think that like there's so much more fulfillment and impact and results that we actually even produce when we take that focus. So I love that, man. It's super powerful.
Appreciate it. Yeah, dude. Being an entrepreneur is so much fun too. There's so much like ups and downs and meeting and networking and helping people. And you gotta look big picture when you're doing everything.
Yeah, dude, I love it. So tell us a little bit more about Free Up and what you're doing with that today, man.
Yeah, so I mentioned my parents were both teachers. When I got to college, I kind of wanted to get away from the whole go to school, get a real job, work for 30 years and retire thing, even though that's what they did. And they're retired now and they're traveling the world and they're loving life. And I just knew that wasn't for me. So I started hustling. I started buying and selling people's textbooks. I created a little referral program competing with my school bookstore, ended up getting a cease and desist letter from my school and telling me to knock it off. And me getting kicked out of college with my parents being teachers wasn't really an option. I didn't want to do that. So I pivoted pretty quick. I had learned about Amazon. This was back in 2008, before people knew what Amazon was. Being an Amazon seller wasn't really a thing. So I got in at a really good time. And I started experimenting with everything besides books, outdoor equipment, video games, computers, your typical college guy stuff, right? And I just failed over and over and over. And it wasn't until I found the baby product industry that my business took off, and I sold over $1 million in my first year. And if you can imagine me as a 20-year-old single college guy selling baby products on Amazon, that was me. And it was a wild time. It was exciting. I was an entrepreneur. I had to start hiring people and managing people and all this stuff. And but for that first year, I was doing everything myself. And I remember meeting with an accountant, because I had to pay taxes for the first time. My parents really pushed me to do that. And my accountant told me, hey, when are you going to hire your first person? And I kind of like shrugged him off. Like, why would I do that? That's money out of my pocket. They're going to steal my ideas. They're going to hurt my business. Pretty standard entrepreneurial stuff. And he just laughed in my face. And he said, you're going to learn this lesson on your own. Well, sure enough, my first busy season came around and I am doing everything myself. I just get destroyed. I'm working 20 hours a day. My social life plummets. My grades go down. I'm trying to keep this business I worked so hard the entire year for just to survive to get to January. And I do it. I get there. I work my butt off. And I think to myself, man, I can never let that happen again. I need to start hiring people.
Yeah.
So I'm 20. I know nothing about hiring. I post a job on Facebook. And this guy in my business law class messages me, says, hey, I need a job. I don't know what you do. I say you're hired. I didn't even interview. Ends up being an unbelievable hire. He's hardworking. He's smart, hits the ground running, makes my job easier. He's been my business partner, Connor, for like 8 years now. He's co-owner of FreeUp. So I hit jackpot right there. That's awesome. And there I am thinking, man, this hiring thing is easy. You post a job on Facebook, someone shows up, you make more money. And I just proceed to make bad hire after bad hire after bad hire. Just quickly getting frustrated, losing all my hair. And I quickly give up hiring in person. No one wants to work for me when I'm 20 in person. I go to the remote hiring world, the Upworks, the Fivers, and it was okay. Hired some pretty good people that are still with me today. But I also just hated the process. I hated posting a job, getting 50 people to apply, interviewing them one by one. And I wanted something faster. So I kept looking, and when I couldn't find a platform like that, I said, you know what, I'll build it myself. And the concept of FreeUp is we get thousands of applicants every week, virtual assistants, freelancers, agencies from all over the world. We vet them, top 1% get on our platform, make them available to people quickly whenever they need them. Speed as an entrepreneur is important. And on the back end, 24/7 support in case people have even the smallest issue, and a no turnover guarantee. If someone quits, we cover replacement costs. And I tried to take everything that I liked about the other platforms and change everything that I didn't like. And that's kind of the story of how I went from a broke college kid to books to baby products to a freelancer platform.
Dude, Nathan, there's so much gold in there, man. I love the journey and some of the biggest like lessons you learned about like hiring, and also the pain that you experienced from it, and going through these different freelancing sites and contracting sites, and being able to say, hey, that's not quite what I want, and create something that solves a need. You know, you found that like it's a pain in the ass sometimes for a lot of people. So like let's find a way to alleviate that pain. I want to go back to those days in the college environment, because I think there's gold there. A lot of people want to know in the beginning, like, how do we get through that stuff? What would you say is it that changed from when you were messing up in the different products that you were trying on Amazon to the baby products? Like, what changed in your mindset, your approach, your strategy? What changed?
Yeah, in terms of actually getting sales, and I wish I had a better answer to this. I mean, Amazon was so new. There was no Amazon software. No one knew the Amazon algorithm. It was more luck and just trial and error than anything else. I mean, back then I would throw products on Amazon and they would either sell or they wouldn't. And if they wouldn't, I would take them down and try other products. Now, if you want to think logically of why baby products took off, I mean, if you think of the biggest industries, funeral homes are probably number one. Everyone uses that. And below that is probably baby and home goods and stuff that a lot of people buy, that no matter what the economy does. And this was back in 2008, 2009. So the economy was going through a rough patch. People aren't cutting their kids off from supplies when the economy goes down. So it was a good industry at the time. And I think the margins had a little bit to do with it too. If I'm selling a video game, it's $60 at one store, $60 in another store. No one's going to go on Amazon and pay $120. So there's some factors there as well.
Yeah, dude, that's powerful. What experience did you gain in that time that you feel really has benefited you at FreeUp? Like what wisdom did you gain then that really you're implementing now and is making a huge difference for you in FreeUp?
So I never had a real job after college, but I had 2 internships when I was in middle school through freshman year of college. And the one I worked at the longest was Firestone. And at Firestone, I had this manager, really the only manager I've ever worked for. And he was a good manager in terms of numbers. He was a terrible manager in terms of actually managing people. He would micromanage. He would look over the shoulder of people. He would yell at you. He'd make you nervous and uncomfortable, and no one wanted to work there. And you just felt pressured all the time. Well, me starting my own business, hiring people for the first time, that's the only manager I'd ever seen. So in my mind, that's the type of manager that I'm going to be. So when I'm working with people and I'm making my first and second hire, I'm micromanaging. I'm looking over people's shoulders. I'm yelling. I'm not handling things professionally. And it showed in the numbers. Our turnover rate was through the roof. And my business partner, Connor, who is the most even-keeled, nice person you'll ever meet. He's never said anything bad in his entire life. And I'm much more of like a high energy, up and down, all over the place. So he's telling me, he's like, Nate, you got to change. You can't talk to people like that. You can't communicate like that. You can't run meetings like that. Like, no one wants to work here. And it wasn't until this third consecutive person quit for the exact same position. And I had wasted months and months and months investing in these people, and they kept walking out the door. And so I asked this person for an exit interview. And I don't know if you've ever done an exit interview before, but there's only one type, an incredibly uncomfortable one, right? You're sitting across the table from someone, they're pissed at you, you're pissed at them. And I just asked him feedback and I just listened. And this guy hit me to my core. He told me everything that was wrong with my business, my interview process, my management style, how I run meetings, the culture I created, my leadership. He just crushed me. And I should have written that guy a check right there, because that information was so valuable. And the funny thing is the last thing the last thing he told me is kind of stuck with me even to this day. And he said, this, in the 3 months I've worked here or whatever it was, this is the first time you've ever asked me for my feedback. I was like, wow, that's a really good point. So now I took that feedback, all of it, and slowly started to adjust and change and actually try to become a better manager, become a better leader, and try to forget all the stuff I learned from that manager back in the day. And I had Connor constantly giving me reminders if I ever started to kind of go back to that old Nate. And it was funny. We were talking today. We have these Skype groups with freelancers, and they're totally optional. We post tickets and reminders. And today I had like a conversation about where would you rather travel, and all these freelancers are like, oh, I want to meet you, Nate. You're like, you're so nice, blah, 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 which is great. And I love them. I have a great relationship with a freelancer. But in my mind, I'm like, if you knew me 8 years ago, you wouldn't be saying that about me. So it's come a long way.
That's incredible, dude. I love it. So I want to fast forward to FreeUp and launching that. Like, what were some of those biggest lessons when you were launching FreeUp? And like, if you could go back and change things about how you did it, what would you change?
So I would say the thing we did well is we just got that minimum viable product out there as fast as possible. I spent $5,000 on this very, very basic software. It did really nothing. The freelancers could start time, end time. The clients could see the freelancer in their account, and that was it. They couldn't submit requests. There was no affiliates. There was no profiles. Clients would email me when they wanted something, but it was great because once we got to market, we started getting this feedback, and the feedback helped us adjust, and we read the market rather than thinking of this grand idea in our head and going to market and crossing our fingers and hope that it worked out. Yeah. So what ended up happening was the service around the platform was awesome. Our customer service was great. It's something I believe in. It's definitely a strong suit of mine. Yeah. People love the freelancers. They love the speed. They love the efficiency. But the software always lagged behind because we could get away with it. We had this software that people were using here and there. They weren't really using it. Well, that caught up with us because by the end of year one, people are like, wow, this platform is awesome in all of these ways, but your software looks like it's from 1998 and it just doesn't it doesn't match the rest of the business.
Right.
So it took a mindset shift of like, we're a software company. We need to start acting like a software company. We need to hire developers and quality assurance and have a scrum and have an actual like plan. And so for us, it took us a good 6 months to transition the business into that software company. And if I could do it over again, I mean, that would have been the focus once we proved our minimum viable product to hit the ground running right from the beginning. And I think even today, we're constantly feeling like we're just behind in the software because there's so much you can do. And we also just didn't get that much of a head start.
Wow, dude, that's so powerful. And I think like correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I did the right thing. It sounds like you did the right thing. You focused on the people, you focused on the environment, you focused on like what needed to be the minimum viable product, just like launching and serving people well. But the software was kind of like, yeah, I know we should be doing more on that, but hey, we got all this other stuff that we're juggling right now. So like if you could change anything, you would have just put a little bit more focus on that, got more clarity so that you can have more like just like confidence and better delivery for your tribe, for your community, to make sure that they're getting what they want and put those things in place earlier. But overall, it sounds like you had as good of an experience as you could have, like and were successful. And there might have been some couple things about the software that could be improved.
Yeah, I mean, with FreeUp, and we've been fortunate, knock on wood. I mean, we've grown pretty rapidly over the past 3 years. We've had, yes, of course, there's downs. There's been weekends where our software goes down and it sucks and everyone comes in and fixes it. But for the most part, there hasn't been any like devastating moment where we thought everything was going to blow up. Now, if we want to talk devastating moments, going back to my Amazon business, around year like 1.5-ish, I had Connor. I had hired this one person, and I was going to make him my manager of the day. That was my brilliant idea. I was going to teach him how to do everything. And I spent 6 months teaching this person. I taught him how to do customer service and listing and repricing. Again, there's no Amazon software back then, so everything is manual. Yeah. And so I get it to a great place. I'm sleeping better at night. The business is running without me. It's on autopilot. This guy, he's trained. He's ready to go. He's answering every emails. I remember the day I woke up and I didn't have to answer customer service emails anymore.
Yes.
And on the flip side, I had this manufacturer that was like 85% of our sales. And I said, you know what? I don't care about the other manufacturers. Let's just focus on this guy. This is where we're making all our money. So we have one manufacturer, we have one person running everything, business on autopilot. And I say, you know what, Connor, like we deserve a vacation. Let's book an awesome trip. So we book a trip to Myrtle Beach, and I'll never go back. On the first day of my vacation, I get 3 phone calls. One from my manager of the day telling me he was quitting on me. So 6 months of training out the drain. Second, from the manufacturer telling me they no longer want to do business with us. So our entire revenue stream just gone. And then third, from my accountant telling me someone had filed a fake tax return in my name, stolen $40,000 from the government, my identity was stolen, and I was going to have to deal with that mess when I got home.
Oh my gosh.
So I go from this unbelievable high of I'm this 21-year-old entrepreneur, no one can touch me, to let's start everything all over again. And I learned a very valuable lesson about diversification and not putting all my eggs in one basket. And I'm so happy I learned that lesson in year 1 and 2 and not in year 7, 8, 9. But we came back, we said, all right, we need to start contacting lots of manufacturers. And we ended up building relationships with over 200, 300 manufacturers. And on the hiring side, once it was ready to hire again, we said, all right, 2 people for customer service, 2 people for listing, 2 people for graphic design. If one person quit, and it wouldn't be the last person that quit on me, it wasn't that big of a deal to replace them just for that particular task. So that was really my entrepreneurial devastating week.
Damn, dude, that's nuts. Like to have all that happen at once, but if we're not prepared for those things, it'll cripple us, And like I feel a lot of the journey is just learning through trial and error, like you said earlier. And how can you plan for something like that? Like that's like to anticipate that, it's really difficult. But looking back, you're like, okay, here's what I would have done differently. And thank God for social media and podcasts and interviews and all this content, trainings, software, things that we can use to really like alleviate those problems and mitigate the risk before we even like get down that road, man. That's powerful.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you're an entrepreneur, there's so much just ups and downs, and I feel like that first few years, you're like, oh my God, I'm on top of the world, and then you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna go homeless, and then you eventually just get numb to all of it. And when something goes great, you're like, all right, we got to keep the pedal in the metal and keep it going forward. And when things are going poorly, you got to look at the big picture. All right, let's problem solve. We're gonna fight our way out of it. So that's kind of what we're looking, what my mentality is. Real quick, are we recording? Because usually there's a button, a thing on Zoom that says you're recording. I haven't seen it.
It's being broadcasted out to Facebook Live, man. I got it. We're all good.
Cool. Before you kept going for another 40 minutes, I wanted to...
Nathan's like, come on, I've done this before. I'm not doing it again. I'm not gonna miss that recording button.
So I've done like 200 podcasts, and there's probably been like 2 or 3 of them that we get to the end, and they're like, oh, we forget to hit the record button. So when I have my own podcast, like 5 minutes in, I have a reminder that goes off.
Yep.
That's my biggest fear is I get some big name guest on the show, and then at the end I'm like, oh, by the way, none of that mattered. Now I need to waste another hour of your time.
Yeah, dude, I love it. I love the checking in with it, man. I think that's something that's valuable about a leader. It's like if something comes up and you have a concern, like to speak it, to voice it. I think a lot of leaders are just hoping everything works out, but you've gone through so many challenges and obstacles. You're like, hey, I'm going to make sure that this is going the way that I want it to. It's going correct, and like checking in. I wouldn't say it's micromanaging, but it's just like it's checking in. It's asking for that feedback, and I think you've learned through that. So that's what an amazing demonstration that you have learned that feedback skill. Super powerful, man. I want to talk about free up and specifically the value of getting a contractor, hiring people, bringing in the team. Like what do you need to say? What do you want to say to the entrepreneurs out there? People who are like tired of doing it on their own. They're wanting to grow their company. Maybe they might have an employee or a couple employees or some contractors already, but they want to expand even more. What do you have to say to them, man?
Yeah. So, I mean, my first thing is you're never going to get that perfect timing right to hire someone, right? Everyone wants to hit the nail on the head. Like this is that exact moment that I need someone. You're either going to hire too late or too early. That's the bottom line. You got to pick which one you're comfortable with. And some people that they're more risk adverse, they're okay waiting and go doing it themselves for longer. Other people that they see that opportunity cost, they don't want to miss it, and they hire a little bit early. But for me, it's about setting that budget, looking up, hey, how much money did I make last month? And how much money do I want to invest into my business? And if you're going all out, you're trying to build that empire, maybe you're investing 40, 60% of your money into hiring. And if you're more conservative and we're all in a different place in our life and in our business, maybe it's 10 to 30%. But figure out what that number is. If it's 20%, the next month you can go up 5%, down 5%. But if you don't even know what your budget is, the last thing you want to do is hire all these people, implement them, spend your time, your energy, your money. And then you look at next month's report and you're like, wow, I spent way more than I wanted to. And then you have to backtrack and make moves and waste a lot of time. So figuring out that budget is key. That's the first part. And the second part is understanding there's 3 different types of people that you can hire. You got the followers, you got the doers, and you got the experts. So the followers, think $5 to $10 an hour, non-US. These are your quote unquote virtual assistants, although that can mean a lot of different things. They have years of experience if you get them on free up, but at the end of the day, they're there to follow your systems, your processes. Then you got the mid-level, the specialists, the graphic designers, the bookkeepers, the writers. They're doing the same thing 8 to 10 hours a day. You're not teaching a graphic designer how to be a graphic designer, but they're not consulting with you either. They're there to get projects off your plate. And then you got the experts, the 20 and up high-level freelancers, consultants, agencies that bring their own systems, their own processes, their own strategies. They can execute high-level game plans. They can project manage. And what you have to do is figure out, okay, this is my budget. Yes, do I need a full-time, part-time? Can I only afford project-based? But more importantly, where are you in your business? Are you someone that's stuck in the day-to-day operations and you need to figure out how do I get those hours back so I can focus on the sales, the marketing, the execution? Are you someone where these projects are just building up and you shouldn't be doing your own WordPress site? You shouldn't be building those infographics for a conference and you need to be knocking those projects off? Or are you at something where, yes, you could spend the next 6 months learning how to be a Facebook ad expert? I'm a reasonably smart person. I could probably do that if I put my mind to it. But that's probably not a good use of my time as an entrepreneur. And I can't do that with every part of my business. The average entrepreneur has 1 to 3 core competencies, and I need to be doing those for as long as possible and hire people to execute the other things and hit the ground running without me building a process right from the beginning. So figuring out the budget and the plan, and then figuring out what you actually need to hire first is what entrepreneurs should be doing.
Wow, that's powerful, man. I love the three different categories so that we know, hey, who's the person that we need? Number one, like what level do we have the capacity for, but also like where are we at in our business? Where is our revenue? Where is our time being allocated? Where is our genius zone? How much are we operating in that or out of that? That's powerful, man. And in terms of when someone's ready to go to FreeUp, and that's FREEE up.com with three E's, which I love. It's awesome, man. When they're ready to go there, like what kind of resources or training do you have for them, or just like value add to help them be a better, entrepreneur, hire better, choose the right people better? Like what can they experience when they go to your site, man?
Yeah, so we have a Facebook group called Outsourcing Masters that I post a lot of great content in to help you no matter what level you're hiring. In the files of that group is our ebooks. I have a free
Sweet.
version of my book, Free Up Your Business, and a bunch of stuff off there. We also, at the top of the website, is like my calendar, my assistant's calendar. My assistants are in the Philippines. They're rock stars. They speak perfect English. You can meet with them. You can ask them what it's like to be a freelancer and learn from them. So, and I got them for my own platform. So that's there. And then we also created this is recent. If you go to freeup.com/menu, we took real requests that people put into our platform, and we kind of spread it out. So everything like customer service, marketing, and all that. So people can see examples of requests that we normally get. And then you can kind of treat it like a menu. Ordering McDonald's, you can be like, hey, I want a number 33, but I only need 5 hours a week instead of 10 hours a week. So it kind of makes it easier for you once you are ready to hire to kind of have that baseline that you can grow on from there. And we post a lot of other stuff on our blog, our podcast, the Outsourcing and Scaling Show, where we interview 7-8 figure entrepreneurs on how they outsource their business, because I think my audience gets enough of how I do it. They want to hear how other people are doing it as well. Yeah. And the Free Up blog, where we post a lot of great content and have our partners guest post and all that as well. So my mentality is I can get you really good people, but if you don't know what to do with those people after the fact, it only does so much. So I try to put as much content as possible out there to help my audience.
Yeah. So it's like really what you do when you hire someone, what's like the onboarding process? How do you teach them systems? How do you hold them accountable? Is that kind of stuff that you get into?
Yeah, interview questions. How do you treat a follower opposed to an expert? Because if you go in to hire an expert and you're like, hey, follow my system, follow my process, that's not going to go too well. So just figuring out the right strategies. And I'm always trying new things. I mean, I just started creating these like 1 to 2 minute videos explaining stuff like how fixed pricing works on the platform, and just for my assistants, for the community. And so I shared like how it was going. This is a brand new thing I'm experimenting with. It might completely bomb, but just showing people how I'm trying to make it easier and better on the hiring side, and other people can take that and tweak it and make it their own and apply it to their business in whatever way that makes sense.
That's great, man. Nate, what do you say is common feedback from your clients and customers of FreeUp? What are some of the raving things that they say about your service and like why they love it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the speed and customer service is the biggest thing. At least, I mean, those are the reviews that kind of make me proud as an entrepreneur, because when I started off this platform, as you can tell, I talk fast, I move fast. It's all about efficiency. So when I need a graphic designer today, I need a graphic designer today. I can't wait 3 weeks to interview 100 people. So when someone says they got someone really good right away, they got started within hours, those are the kinds of things that I'm proud of. And then customer service. I mean, I'm in an imperfect industry, right? Like the best freelancer in the world isn't the best fit for every single client in the world. And if I introduce a graphic designer to 10 different clients, 9 of them might love them. The other one might think they're terrible. So there's a certain element of personal preference. And 99% of the time that the freelancers on the platform make me look really good. They're one of the reasons that we've been able to grow and clients keep coming back. And there's always going to be that 1%. And when that stuff happens, we just jump in quickly. We make it right. So each party is taken care of and we move forward. And that's kind of the attitude that I want our customer service team to have. So when I see someone like, hey, you know what, that first freelancer wasn't a fit, or I got overbilled 2 hours and FreeUp just gave me a credit and got me someone else, like that's the kind of stuff that I want our reputation to be. And I don't want that to change as we get bigger.
Yeah. That's great, man. I love how you're living your message of freeing people up from the stress, from the overwhelm. It's like when you can just like nip those issues in the bud, get them taken care of, and say, hey, well, don't worry, we'll make it all good, and have people feel taken care of. I think that's so powerful. On an entrepreneurial journey, there's so many things that stress us out, that overwhelm us, that kick our butt. And so to have someone on our side, like making sure that we're making things better, that's awesome, man. I want to talk about the vision for FreeUp and where you like are excited to see it go in the future. Like what you're really out to create in the world with the company, man.
I mean, we want to change the remote hiring industry. I mean, if you go back 20 years ago, no one was really hiring freelancers and virtual assistants. At least a lot of small business owners weren't. And then the Upworks, the Fivers, the job boards came out. And now we've been doing it that way for a pretty long time. And I want to come in and shake up that industry, more personal matching, more personal vetting, less time on the client side. And that's really the way that I want to push that entire industry, where that kind of becomes the expectation, and communication being a big part of it. Because I think the people that have had bad experiences in the VA, in the freelancer industry, no matter what platform it was on, it's all been about communication, right? Yeah. It's about freelancers that disappear, about freelancers that don't hit deadlines and don't communicate, that don't communicate emergency personal issues. And we're trying to raise that bar, raising that standard. If you don't communicate on our platform as a freelancer, you're going to get kicked off our platform relatively quickly. So for us, we're kind of raising the bar there and resetting the client expectations.
How do you provide training for the freelancers who serve your customers and clients?
So we don't provide any training for freelancers. So, I mean, they don't work for us. They're offering their service on our platform. So it's not really our mission to train them or anything like that. And we only let freelancers on our platform that have experience. We're looking for people that already have that talent. Now, I described this in a video I made the other day. There's almost there are two things. There's the terms of use of the platform, and there's best practices of the platform. So the terms of use is all payments have to be through the platform. You can't do anything illegal for clients, whatever. So the stuff that if you do, it's against our terms of use, we kick you off. Then there's the best practices. And this is one of the things that I'm proud of, is we don't force freelancers to do it our way whatsoever. They are independent business owners that as long as they keep the client happy and deliver on their word, that's really all we care about. At the same time, I've been in this space for a while. I know what clients like and what they don't like. I talk to clients all day long. So we have a lot of resources in our help center, in our best practices, to help people grow their freelancing business. And the people that tend to follow those best practices, and whether it's communication or whatever it is, tend to make more money and get more clients, not just inside FreeUp, but they're not exclusive to us. They have clients outside FreeUp as well. So we provide those best practices to help them. And it's one of those things that if they don't follow the best practices and they get client complaints, like, there's not that much we can do to help. So that's kind of the position that we take. We're not here telling people, hey, you have to do it this way or follow our process. It's just, here's what we've seen as successful, and a lot of them will use that and apply it to their freelance business in whatever way that makes sense.
That's great, man. And I think that's really what I meant about training. Not necessarily that, hey, you have to go through this onboarding process to be, qualified. Of course, they have to go through some kind of vetting process, right? But then after that, like the training, the ongoing training, hey, it's your personal initiative. If you want to be the best freelancer you can be, if you want to get the clients, if you want to, like be able to win these like bids and stuff, and be able to generate your own business, then like you have to follow those best practices to stand out, because there's a lot of people out there who are going for the same gig, the same business, the same bid. So I think that's really powerful that you give them those resources to show up the best and have the best chance of getting the business, man.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it's fun. It's exciting. I mean, one of the things I'm most proud of is we paid out $6 million to freelancers last year. Wow, and people are showing me their houses, their cars, how they were able to provide for their family. I mean, that's way more fun than pushing baby products on Amazon.
I love it. It's like the community. So community is super important for you, and like making that impact for them, man. You mentioned you have like these Skype calls and things like that. What other ways do you create community with either the clients and the customers or the freelancers? What are some important things about community for you?
Yeah, I mean, the Facebook group is there. In there, we have a lot of awesome clients that they share their own ways that they're using VAs and freelancers. And it's kind of cool seeing people who have done everything in their business for the past 2 years start to delegate for the first time and realize how powerful that is, and share their experience with others. And on the freelancer side, I mean, it's totally optional. There are freelancers on our platform that do great, that make a ton of money on the platform. They made over $100,000 last year, and they want to do their own thing. They want to run their own business. That's totally cool. And we have Skype group chats with all the graphic designers, all the US, all the non-US, all the writers. We tried to break it down to put people with each other that had something in common, and totally optional. If people want to be in it, they are. And like today, people were having a conversation of where they were traveling in the world and what people want to go to. And some of these are digital nomads that don't even have a house, that just travel around the world doing freelance work for other people. And they were sharing like their stories. So it can be as much or as little as you want to be. I'm kind of in a unique position where I don't want to force a community, because at the end of the day, they're not my team. They don't work for me. They don't have to be there. And if they just want to get down to business all the time, I totally respect that.
What's the difference between an employee and a freelancer, someone that a contractor freelancer they would find on FreeUp?
Sorry, what's the difference between opposed to like outside FreeUp?
Yeah. Just like is someone still considered an employee if they get a contractor through FreeUp?
No, so we don't provide employees on our platform. We only have virtual assistants, freelancers, and agencies. If you work with someone on our platform and you want to make them an employee of your business, let's say you hire a US person, and this has happened before, and you want to relocate them or make them a virtual employee, you can buy them off our platform. That's an option. In terms of US people, I mean, it's up to you to categorize them correctly. For non-US, it's a little different. It doesn't matter as much. And I don't want to get too technical into the legal side of it, but from our stance, if you're doing it through our platform, that they're going to be independent contractors.
Okay, got it. And would you say there's any advantage to either one? Like, let's say someone's on the fence of saying, "Hey, I want to go through freeup.com and get a contractor, someone there, freelancer there, or I want to like just look for an employee." Like, can you share what the difference is, what the distinction is between those two?
Yeah, I mean, a freelancer, let's talk US only, because every country is a little bit different. But US, I mean, freelancers, they're business owners. You have to treat them like business owners. You're going to be one of their many clients. You have to understand that. You have to respect that. They're going to have their own systems, their own processes. We only provide the mid-level and the expert level US freelancers. So we don't provide US followers. So they're not someone that you're going to take your systems and your process and shove it down their throat. Where if you need someone and you want US to answer your customer service or do whatever, you're probably going to hire a US employee. So there's some different stuff there. And I think some people try to push that line too far. And that's why I try to remind people that like these are business owners. You have to treat them as such. That means they might have their own assistant. That means they're going to have other clients at different times. They're going to be able to set their own due dates and their own working hours and all that kind of stuff. So just some things to keep in mind.
Yeah, so it sounds like the employee is more like rigid, boxed, like kind of a 9-to-5 traditional model, and then a freelancer is, hey, this is someone who's going to get the work I need done at however they want to, basically, or however we agree upon in our communication and systems, and they have more flexibility and more freedom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's great. So what would you say it is that drives you to be an entrepreneur, to grow FreeUp? What drives you, man?
Great question. I don't know if I know the answer. I mean, I know what motivates me every day, and that's just the community that we built, the awesome freelancers, the awesome clients that I've built relationships with. I mean, it's cool seeing a client 3 years later that's tripled their business, 10 times their business, whatever it is. And they've done it using FreeUp as a support system for them. And just running into people at conferences that are like, "Oh my God, you're with FreeUp. Like, I've been using you guys for 2 years." Because keep in mind, I don't talk to every single client. There are people that have been using my platform for years that I've never talked to. So, I mean, all of that is super rewarding. I know I keep referencing back to the baby products, but it's so true. I mean, by year 5, 6, 7 of the Amazon business, I was done. I wanted out of that. I mean, it was just so much pushing products. Yes, I was making money, but I wasn't building anything. I wasn't selling my own product, my own brand. I was just kind of competing with Amazon's algorithm over and over and over again in circles to see how much I could sell. And I wasn't really helping anyone besides me, maybe my team and the manufacturer. So for me, it's much more about that big picture and growing something that's sustainable. I mean, I want in 10 years for people to still be making money and getting clients and posting jobs on FreeUp. I mean, that's what I want.
That's beautiful. Did you have a thought to like create your own thing on Amazon or your own like product line, but then decided against it and went with the FreeUp model, the virtual assistants and freelancers?
Yeah. So I didn't want to create a product that was just like another white label product. Again, just to make money. To me, there's no difference between what I was doing and just picking out some white label product that I'm still not passionate about, that maybe isn't a baby product, and I'd just be selling that.
Right.
So if I was going to do it, it would have to be a product that I'm really passionate about, something that solves a problem that I had. And to be honest, there was just no product idea that I came up with that I was like, this is what I want to go gung ho at for the next 5 years. So, I mean, if I had woken up one night to a dream where that product existed, maybe I would have gone down that path, but that never happened.
Wow. So you led with the path of least resistance, quote unquote, which was your passion of like, hey, I've had these experiences and these pains with hiring. And so you said, okay, I know that there's a demand for that. And I know I had a personal challenge with it. And I want to share like what I've learned from it. You mentioned in the beginning, you spent like $5,000 on the software. So is that like the MVP? Is that what you said? Hey, I got to get this software done to be able to make this idea valid and to test this business model?
Yeah, I mean, the software came together pretty quick. We're talking like a week or two. So we're not talking months. Right. And yeah, I mean, so right now there's a WordPress site. If you go to freeup.com, that's the outside WordPress site. And if you go to actually log in or create an account, that takes you to what we call our time clock, which is in Node. So it's all a custom built software. So Connor built a WordPress site. He knows WordPress and he's gotten better at it over the years. But then we hired a developer that coded in Node and JavaScript and all that to build that backend portal that people can log in and log out of. And there's a admin side, there's a freelancer side, there's a client side, and they all kind of work together in different ways. And I mean, now it does all crazy stuff. There's a whole ticketing system. People put in requests on the admin side. Like we can tag different things and add people and remove people and change rates. And the referral program is there. So if you refer other people, you get 50 cents for every hour we build to them forever, and you can track their referrals in there. So there's a lot of complicated stuff going on there now, but all that stuff is fairly recent. Back in the day, it was just a few features.
Wow. And so you mentioned that like focusing on the software was a big thing for you. Like that you said, okay, we got to really master this software thing. Like when did that decision really like hold and like take hold and say, now it's really time?
Yeah, somewhere around year like 1.5 ish to 2, and we're almost at the end of year 4. We have a few months to go, so it hasn't been too long.
Yeah, but like how fast you've grown is just awesome, man. What would you attribute the rate at which you've grown to? Like, what would you say are the biggest catalysts for that and biggest strengths?
Yeah, so 3 things that have been the key, and I encourage people to apply these in their business. One is we created a referral program early on, right from the beginning. That was probably one of my best business decisions. You get 50 cents for every hour. We build them forever. It's a freelancer, same thing, as many hours they bill forever. And all of a sudden they had a good experience or talking about us at conferences in Japan and all around the world. And people are just spreading the word about us. And that's just a great way to get off the ground. And I think some people, it's funny you ask that, because I was talking to some guy today who had a referral program. He's like, oh, I'm going to give everyone that refers someone a free month. And I was like, okay, well, if that was you, are you going to go around like telling people about your service for a free month? It's like, no, it's got to be something residual that makes sense, that people are going to want to keep talking about you. So having a good referral program was key. Second was podcasts. You mentioned before, I've gone on a lot of podcasts, and it's kind of been a big focus of mine. I think it's a great way to have awesome conversations, to network and meet people, which leads to other connections. But it's also just a great way to get in front of thousands of your ideal. Did you hear that thunder?
Yeah, it was loud, man.
Thousands of your ideal audience at once. So that's been huge. I mean, it's good for SEO too. It directs people back to your site and all that.
Yep.
And then the last thing is strategic partners. Same thing really as the podcast. We work with Seller Labs, for example. They don't do what we do. We don't do what they do. They're an Amazon software company. Their whole audience is Amazon sellers. So those people need to hire. The people that use us need to use our software. They write for our blog. We write for their blog. We blast each other in newsletters. We do podcasts and YouTube videos together. And finding those strategic partners, again, just a great way to get in front of thousands and thousands of your ideal customers very quickly.
So great, man. And then you launched your own podcast as well. Tell us a little bit more about what has been some of the greatest benefits of that for you guys, for your company, for yourself.
So it's only about 5 months old, but we've had some awesome guests. We had Ryan Moran of Capitalism. We had Roland Frazier. We've had a bunch of awesome people. It's kind of the same reason that going on podcasts is good. It's good to network. It's good to kind of build your authority as well. Great for just partnerships and backlinks and all that. I mean, it's exciting. It's something that I think took up a lot of my second quarter. I think when Connor and I met for the third quarter meeting, we were like, what just happened? Like, what did we even do this quarter? And it was so much just getting that off the plate. And
wow.
I think it represented a challenge just in my scheduling. So at first I was like, all right, I have a podcast. Who wants to book? And all of a sudden my calendar just gets packed and I'm recording 4 episodes a day. And I'm like, all right, this is crazy. At some point I have to work on free up. So trying to figure out like creating my Calendly. So it's like, all right, people can only book in the morning and client calls go at this time. And this is my work time, and kind of restructuring it. That's been an experience. And then it becomes like, how much work do I actually want to do? And at the end of the day, I want to show up. That's it. I want to show up. I want to record. And then at the end of it, I want someone to grab that email from Zoom and edit it and put it into iTunes and do all that for me. Because at the end of the day, if that stuff starts building up and I'm the only one that can do it, we're only going to go so far. So creating that system and process was important too.
Wow, that's gold, man. This is really great. I want to talk about the next generation. What do you think needs to, like, kids growing up, youth growing up, what do they need to know about entrepreneurship, the way you see the world evolving? What advice would you give them, man?
So I think in certain situations, school is fantastic. If you're going to be a nurse, a doctor, whatever it is, go for it. That's all you. For me personally, I think I could have gone without a lot of the years of school. I think that I have this great college degree back here. I got Dean's List every semester, never used it. Not a great ROI there, although I wouldn't trade those years for anything. I had a fantastic time. I met lifelong friends. I learned a lot about myself, all that kind of stuff. So just don't let people tell you what that path is. If you have a strict parent that's telling you, hey, you have to get straight A's in school, figure out what you actually want. Obviously, you shouldn't just flunk out of school and become homeless and regret that for the rest of your life. But there's some in between there. There's some way to experiment and really take risks when you're younger. I mean, when I graduated, I had a college degree and I had a business, and then I got to choose which one I wanted to do. And if the business failed, I could go back to the college degree. So make sure that you're trying lots of different things, that you're putting yourself out there. And you never know when you're going to end up selling baby products and starting freelancer marketplaces. And you never know like what crazy direction you're going to go to. Because if you asked me 10 years ago if I'd be doing either of those things, that I wouldn't have believed you, you know?
So that process of evolution, like what happened, like who did you become in the process to like be the CEO of FreeUp and be, like serving so many people? Like how did you change as a human being?
It's funny. I don't think there was ever a moment where like that light switch just went off and like the next day I was a different person. I kind of mentioned the when I got that brutal feedback, and even that it took another 6 months to a year to really develop and get better at those things. To me, it's about making small improvements every day. I mean, I think back to my first podcast I went on. I was scared out of my mind. I had no idea what I was doing. My dog's scared of thunder, so you can probably hear him in the background. No idea what I'm doing, but the next podcast, I got a little bit better. The next podcast, I got a little bit better. And it's the same thing with social media. I mean, I made social media posts and they bombed and they got no comments and no responses. And then the other day I was at some conference and they're like, Nate, like, how'd you learn how to be so good at social media? I'm like, I have no idea. I just kind of put stuff online and I tweak it and I adjust to what people are saying and what the market is and try to figure it out. So there's a certain element of just getting slowly better over time at all parts of your business. And I think that's really more what it's about than just like these drastic changes. Because if you look at me today versus 3 years ago, versus 3 years ago, versus 3 years ago, it's way different. But if you go on a day-to-day basis, I'm still the same person, you know?
Yeah, that's powerful, man. I want to give some final pieces of wisdom around scaling. Is there anything that we haven't touched on yet that you feel our audience really needs to know about it?
Yeah, I mean, hiring's hard. No one has a 100% hiring record, right? It just doesn't exist. You're going to make mistakes. There's going to be stuff out there. But at the same time, if you want to scale your business, hiring is the only way to do it. There's very few solo $1 million a year or $5 million a year entrepreneurs out there. Those don't really exist either. So the people that do it in the 60 to 80% range, opposed to the people that do it in the 20 to 40% range, and I'm talking about percentage hiring wise, success rate, those are the people that have success. And the world is full of great entrepreneurs with good ideas that just couldn't hire a team, that couldn't take it to the next level, that at some point hit that ceiling. And it's also full of entrepreneurs that had mediocre ideas at best. I mean, how many marketing agencies are there? But they hired a really good team. And because of that, they were able to accelerate and grow and expand. So I think a lot of times people go to school for marketing and finance and bookkeeping and all that stuff. But if you can't hire, none of that stuff really matters.
Wow. Dude, gold. I love it. So Nathan, let's tell people how they can stay connected. Remind us of the Facebook group and what are their next steps, man.
So go to Outsourcing Masters. That's my Facebook group. And go to freeup.com with 3 E's. Mention this Facebook Live. Get a $25 credit to try us out. My calendar's right at the top. You can check out all our content, our book, our blog, our podcast, and all that stuff. And I'm probably one of the easiest people to contact. So feel free to reach out to me on social media or email or any channel. And I look forward to helping you in any way that I can.
I love it, man. Dude, you're just like real, giving the value, showing up, kicking butt, taking names. I love it, Nate. I appreciate you, man. Everyone listening or watching, go check out freeup.com. That's FREEEUP.com and send Nate a message. Let him know what you got from this interview because he's doing great, great things. And Nate, I appreciate you being here, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. It's funny. I'm very high energy, and I was worried going today because I just got back from my second bachelor party in 3 weeks. So I've been like staying up till 5 a.m. And like right before this, I was like, I chugged a coffee, and I'm like, all right, like if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go all in. And I'm happy I survived, and now I'm gonna go take a much needed power nap.
You crushed it, man. You crushed it. Thank you so much. My audience is gonna love it, man. So keep up the heat, brother, and keep sharing this message, okay?
Yeah, great. Had a great time, and we'll talk soon.
Awesome, brother. We'll see you soon.